Guys, we've got to talk about something. Recently, a problem has come to my attention. While researching attempts at Utopia, I came across something pretty startling. Yes, that was my reaction too. You see, I recently found out that all land on Earth has been claimed. Wait, you're telling me that's not true? That there's still land out there for the taking, just in undesirable locations? Well, shoot, I can't let that get in the way of a good intro, so I'm just gonna go with it. As I said, all land on Earth has been claimed, meaning the ocean is humanity's next frontier. So let's get cracking. Hey everyone, welcome to Finding Utopia. In the 1960s, the idea of seasteading began, or living on environmentally restorative floating islands with some degree of political autonomy. The term comes from homesteading, which means making a home for oneself in new, uninhabited places. It generally has associations with self-sufficiency and a frontier lifestyle. Seasteading is reminiscent of that idea, but at sea. Yeah, seasteading is a way more concise way to say that. Yes, I agree. Let's call it that. Gotta keep it short. Can't believe anyone would say it any other way. You know, this is a pretty clever idea. I wonder if Hollywood's ever made a movie about societies that exclusively live on the water.
The polar ice caps have melted, and the Earth lies beneath a watery grave.
A movie with a premise like that, bound to be a hit. The concept of seasteading gained massive popularity when a little-known billionaire who was a co-founder of PayPal, who certainly never has made anyone angry in his life, Peter Thiel, made a $1.25 million investment in the movement. The most centralized driver of seasteading is the Seasteading Institute. It's a nonprofit founded in 2008 by Wayne Gramlich and Patrice Friedman, designed to facilitate the establishment of autonomous mobile communities on seaborne platforms operating in international waters. In other words, make seasteads. Friedman and Gramlich noted that according to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, a country's exclusive economic zone extends 200 nautical miles, 370 kilometers from shore. Beyond that boundary lie the high seas, which are not subject to the laws of any sovereign state other than the flag under which a ship sails. They propose that a seastead could take advantage of the absence of laws and regulations outside the sovereignty of nations to experiment with new governance systems and allow the citizens of existing governments to exit more easily. Now, that's not to say that a seastead couldn't be built in an existing country's water, as we'll take a look at later. But part of a seastead's core design is political autonomy. You know, the more that I think about it, I want to say that political autonomy amongst a group of people who all live at sea has already been tried before.
Why is the rum gone?
I think we can all agree that societal movement went pretty well.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Oh, well, I'm sure seasteading will work out just fine. And to their credit, the Seasteading Institute is seemingly open to try new things. On their website, they state that they believe experiments are the source of all progress. To find something better, you have to try something new. Today, there's no open space for experimenting with new societies. That's why we work to enable seasteading communities, floating cities, which will allow the next generation of pioneers to peacefully test new ideas for how to live together. They focus their work around what they call the 8 great moral imperatives. A lot of quotes. And to be honest, they all do sound like really admirable virtues to aspire to. But what does this actually look like in practice? What the heck does a floating seastead even look like? I mean, sure, we've seen floating cities before, but those were usually in the air. Thanks for the illustration, Mr. Lucas. Whenever we see cities, civilizations, giant boats, or any large group of people on the water, it seems they don't always float. Thanks for the illustration, James Cameron. As if we haven't learned enough about the dangers of the ocean in 2023.
Carbon fiber submersible called the Titan.
But perhaps the most promising of the seastead projects is Ocean Builder's Sea Pods. Designed by floating structures architect Koen Otals. Apologies for probably mispronouncing that name. Their flagship sea pod uses over 1,688 cubic feet of air-filled sea tubes to provide enough buoyancy to push the entire sea pod up 3 meters above the water. Designed to have 833 square feet of living space and 1,250 cubic feet of storage space, with 360-degree views of the water. Talk about some oceanfront property. They also boast some environmental benefits to their sea pod, stating that building a home on the water actually creates a habitat for ocean life to thrive. assuring potential seasteaders that anytime you put something in the water that makes shade, it attracts sea life. It often starts with barnacles, and other life starts to grow on the underwater surface of the pods. This can lead to coral growth and eventually homes for fish. After a process of years, this can grow into a thriving underwater ecosystem. They claim that every sea pod that goes in the water gets us one step closer to restoring a marine ecosystem. And even their water recycling plan also promises a 90% reduction in water uses per pod. But I hear you saying, won't all these sea pods become old and outdated? And how difficult would it be to actually refinish and repair a sea pod that's in the middle of the water? Not only that, but how much does it cost to actually renovate and replace existing systems? And that, my friends, is an excellent question. Well, similar to a Tesla, ocean builders have designed pods to be easily upgradable. There are set locations behind walls where new devices and components can be plugged in like Lego pieces for upgraded functionality as technology improves. The native pod software can be upgraded remotely, and new sensors and automations can be easily hot swapped. The pod will be like a mobile phone where you can install new home apps that are constantly being developed. So think of it like a Lego set on the water. If you're really curious to learn more about these, you can actually stay in one right now, all for the low price of $595 a night. If you're not interested in giving it a test ride, they're also accepting deposits to own a sea pod. The deposits start at $200, but the total cost is close to $1 million, unless you have a coupon code, which I assume will give you a discount, or at least maybe a free towel. Okay, but what if a pod on a pole in the middle of the water isn't the type of home you're looking for? Maybe you just want something a little more traditional, like a cube floating on the water. Well then, allow me to introduce Arctide. Arctide is focused on the sustainable development of water-based communities with an abundance of energy, fresh water, clean air, and food, enabling humanity and nature to thrive. Their Coquina home is built on a floating base, which is supposed to provide a unique living experience and minimize the environmental impact on the surrounding marine ecosystem. Like Ocean Builder sea pods, Coquina homes are designed to require minimal maintenance through the use of high-quality, durable materials. The idea is for these housing units to be used as a home, as short-term rentals, and/or by resorts. The Coquina is expected to offer an innovative solution for people seeking a more sustainable and eco-friendly lifestyle. Each Coquina will be fully equipped for comfortable and sustainable living, offering an opportunity for residents to connect with the ocean and its ecosystem in a unique way. And for the low price of $100,000, you'll get Arctide's base model, which includes 288 square feet of interior space and a 288 square foot deck. Per their website, you can make a free reservation today. But also per their website, material testing and prototype construction is set to begin in May. And at the time of this recording, it's currently July. But that's okay because they go on to clarify that their prototype should be finished by mid-June. But again, it's July. But again, okay, maybe you still aren't sold on a floating home yet. Well, that's probably just because you're imagining how it will impact you, and not how it could potentially impact your children. But we don't have to just imagine about raising our kids on a floating cube in the middle of the water. Arctide has already thought about it for us. Just imagine your child waking up to the stunning sunrises and falling asleep to the starry night skies. Or them being rocked side to side in the 140-mile-per-hour winds of a hurricane.
Holy!
Or, alternatively, imagine the cozy and intimate family living of sharing a tiny home with an infant and a family of 5. One queen bed next to 3 twin beds that extend the length of the interior portion of a Coquina. If these don't sound like fantastic ideas to you, then Arctide thinks you're just thinking about it all wrong. Coquina living inherently embraces minimalism as families learn to prioritize what truly matters. So quit focusing on enough space to walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night without stepping on your kid, and focus on what truly matters. And expose your kids to the unique challenges and rewards of living in a Coquina, which contribute to the emotional resilience of children. And living on a cube out in the middle of the sea certainly won't stunt them socially, physically, or emotionally. And now I also hear a select subset of you also saying, buying a home to live in forever on the water does sound like a pretty big commitment. That is a pretty good reenactment. And admittedly, it does. But the pirates did it, and so can you scallywag. Okay, fine. If I can't interest you in a home, then could I perhaps interest you in a private floating social club off the coast of Miami? Now that I've got your attention, allow me to introduce ArcHouse the only way I know, by reading word for word the exact phrasing they use on their website. Ahoy from Arcos! You've never seen a membership club like this one before. Set in a diamond configuration, 4 solar electric vessels provide the framework for 2 levels of relaxation, dining, and entertainment while overlooking a natural pool at the center. Arcos has also described its concept as a lifestyle club for the world's disruptors. Actually, let me be a little more specific. Arcos is joining like-minded disruptors and innovators in a unique, luxurious environment. So I'll be honest, my get-up notwithstanding, to me it seems like seasteading for the elites. You could even say for people who are super sophisticated. And the pricing only reinforces that for me. To be fair, it's not just the pricing. It's probably also because they are selling NFTs in the year of our Lord 2023. And as ludicrous as that sounds, just wait until you see the price. Perhaps an NFT of a sinking ship would have been more appropriate than an anchor. And I think Arcos realized that's how they were perceived as well. Because in April of 2022, in a press release titled "Party Up Top, Research on the Bottom," they decided to add a research lab focusing on marine regeneration efforts to the bottom of its structure. The research will be led by underwater drones that will carry out activities like measuring the water's temperature, salinity, oxygen levels, toxicity, while others carry out mangrove restoration or trash cleanup. The first club in Miami is slated to open in Q1 of 2024 for its initial anchor members, with a seasonal club in New York City also in the works. While I have made fun of some of the initial projects that are launching from Seasteading, I don't want that to be confused with me hating the idea altogether. If you're a fan of one or more of the projects that I've mentioned here, then please, by all means, continue to be a fan and support those projects. I really don't mean to krill your vibe. I actually think there's a huge future for seasteading, if they can work out the logistics, and I think there'd be a huge appetite for something like this. The idea of seasteading in its most basic sense is something we should strive for and celebrate when breakthroughs in the space happen. Get it? Celebrate? I'm just not utterly thrilled with some of the current projects. I'm just not utterly thrilled. Okay, that's the last one, I promise. But I do realize you have to start somewhere. Who knows, maybe Arcos will be a driving force in offshore activities, and Arctide's tiny homes will be the hottest neighborhoods in a decade or two. I hope none of these projects stop, as I do think the progress they make for seasteading as a whole is real and important to the future of utopian living. I just hope we all don't get seasick along the way. And that's seasteading. As mentioned before, most of the research for this video came from the Seasteading Institute. Please look them up if you're interested. I'll leave a link to their website in the description. Please also follow us on social media, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow and helps more people be exposed to the current projects aspiring to change society for the better. And always remember that the future is out there.